together and welcome to a new episode of Your Parrot in Portugal. Today we will see an exceptional breeding center of George. George Batista is very well known for his quality birds and also to deal with feed, right? He's our partner here in Portugal to test out hand feeding formulas, to test out pellets. He was one of the first one who trusted in our quality of our Your Parrots brand quality. And today I will show you closer the whole breeding center. Here he has up to 120, 130 pairs of different kind of lorikeets, special ones, cockatoos, macaws and more. So you will see the whole range of variety of birds kept in aviculture on this single place. It's a very modern place and we will see how he will feed. We will see the nest boxes closer, especially for the cockatoos. We will see breeding females of wonderful eclectus and much more. Also very interesting is to see how he prepares the feed, right? How he feeds seeds, mixtures, how he feeds pellets in combination with fresh chopped fruits and vegetables. And also the lorikeets will be closer to this camera very soon. All the nest boxes in this breeding center are outside of the aviaries. So you don't disturb the birds. You can nicely watch into the nest boxes here. Some of them are video secure, so the breeder can watch directly with video into the nest boxes, but these more for the rarer species. We have simply here a breeding range of different Amazons in this row, and you can enter also the feeding places very easily like this. What does the breeder feed over here? Pellets, our vital pellets fruit blend mostly, very delicious, I love it, and a blend of vegetables, leafy greens and fruits, mostly but vegetables. Easy to close, easy to feed. Let's watch the breeding center deeper. Behind me you can see an interesting water system, which I have seen and figured out here in this breeding stage of George the first time. So the whole water supply of every bird is fully automatically, and I will show that closer soon. But here you see the water pipes coming into let's say a water reservoir, right? In here is a filter, goes through and goes to the aviaries. But the good thing is, why he installed this water reservoir with the filter is, on the top he simply can enter and put medicine inside the water. So automatically he can fill in the water with the medicine on here in the water reservoir, and in the rest of the pipes the birds get automatically fed in case they need some medicine without any stress. Here you can pull out fresh water, and here you can block different types of the pipes. And let's see the water system right out closer. Of course, with such an easy method to give the birds daily fresh water, it's the best idea I've ever seen so far. So these nibblers, the birds have no problems to enter them. And he said even new birds, they are so curious, they will go on it because out of curiosity. That means even they don't know there's water coming out, but the birds nibble on it and suddenly they realize water is coming out. Of course, there might be 1 or 2 parrots playing with it and leaving the water a little bit rinsing out, but this is 1%, right? So this system I really enjoy to watch. From the macaws to the small pionitis, the small kikes, every little bird knows how to get water. Before we actually enter the whole breeding center, I must say I hope you can hear me then, because it's quite loud. We have fed the birds early in the morning. You see it's starting to become more active. Here in Portugal they don't need to heat. We have in winter about, let's say, 5 to 10 degrees, the lowest, right? So all birds stay outside the whole single year. And that's why here we have an aviary complex which is completely empty for young birds. This is very nice to find nothing so overcrowded over here. And then we start to the right to the big breeding center, starting with the Amazons.
One small.
No, you can make it smaller in the gallery. Protein. Yeah.
for the cockatoos.
Two eggs. So behind me you see Jorge currently feeding. His main feeding strategy is using our pellets and a bunch of different herbs, of different vegetables and berries as well as fruits on top of the pellets. You see always the birds have two bowls in here. They get pre-arranged by a worker and Jorge is feeding them accordingly each and another one. So it's amazing to see how they have developed a strategy to feed the birds effective and very fast, because here are many hundreds of birds. This aviary complex is really huge, and here in the back of the parrots and macaws you'll find the lorikeets. And I'm a big fan of the lorikeets, I have to admit. These little guys, so active, their special lorikeet diet. And Jorge is also using our lorikeet nectar because it has two advantages. First, the recipe and the ingredients. We use different kinds of sugars. We use spirulina that turns our lorikeet nectar into a green color and supports feathers and the mineral balance of the lorikeet nectar. And the most important is also we use fresh grinded pollen inside. Right? Secondly, our lorikeet nectar is not going on the bottom of the bowl anymore. And this George really likes, of course. The birds don't have water on the top of the bowl and then suddenly coming to the enjoyable nectar. Here they have it the whole time in the bowl. And let's see how he feeds the lorikeets in detail. Here in the back you see his lorikeet breeding center number one, room number one. Everything is of course all under suspended aviaries, and how great these lorikeets look like you'll see now closer.
Yes. Vai buscar ali o bicão, tem ali uma coisa de bicão.
Now he's feeding here.
We are now at the baby station and George breeds lots of birds. And for this he has a special made up system where birds from the age of 1 to 7 days and up till their weaning time get fed and stored, right? So we have different segments in this baby breeding center over here, which will I explain closer to you. It's amazing how the breeders invest their time and their whole life, as well as money, to raise up birds in the best conditions possible. We as aviculturists have created in the last, let's say 50 years, a big amount of knowledge how to breed and raise and of course to feed birds successfully. And this should be a very good base also to connect with biologists in the wild in order to build a synergy of the biologists, the field biologists in the wild versus aviculturists. And this bridge we have to develop in order to preserve species in the wild and also to learn more from each other. Here in the first room, chicks are already hatched from the days 1 to 7. This room is completely closed and only used for these little chicks. George has a system that he has a row, that means he puts chicks after their age in different rooms of different climate, different humidity and more. This room is also secured by extra energy power. That means all the rooms, if in case electricity drops down and they have a blackout, he is able to make electricity for at least 6 hours to prevent any damages on little chicks in the rooms. Constant electricity is the key for success once you have developed a big breeding center and lots of chicks. These things in the back, they secure him the energy, because he told me that sometimes here in Portugal energy can suddenly drop, and then these guys automatically make him the energy reservoir he needs. So here you have a nice overview of the different rooms, starting from the one where they are 1 to 7 days old, the second one where they get in the brooders even bigger, and so on. Behind me you see the feeding kitchen of the baby chicks, and that's an essential point here in this chick center, right? On the top also you see air conditioning systems and air filters. This is very important to keep the whole facility clean. Everything is made with tiles, with windows and glass to clean it easily and also to close it without having a dark room, right? Everything is nice, spacious, everything is nice and open, right? And let's see the kitchen and which formula he uses. So here we are in the baby chick feeding kitchen, or however we may call it. And George is using our hand feeding formula now for the last seasons. And he's very happy about it because our products are simply natural. We don't use any added sugars or bakery products, right? Our products are 100% natural. And he likes it very much because he's breeding lots of birds and has different chicks for different species, and therefore we have a solution. We have different hand feeding formulas for different species, and they all produced naturally based on seeds, on nuts, on fruits, veg and herbs, right, and as well as berries. And he likes that from the first day on he can trust a premium brand as ours, as your Parrot, and it makes me very proud to see such a breeding center developing young birds with our hand feeding formula. The good thing is we have also for breeders big buckets and 7 kilos, 3 kilos and 1.5 kilo buckets, right? This made it possible for him also finally to have a hand feeding formula in a big bucket without using the small ones. Anyway, beside me in the back you see a machine that heats up his water. He using simply water bottles, right? Fills them with water, puts them here into the machine, and the machine is making the water simply warm. That is always going to be quick, and he preheats the water to 40 degrees Celsius. Also in his assortment some earplugs, And you might think now why he's using them for baby parrots. Yes, baby parrots can become very loud. If you look at Amazons, cockatoos and macaws, they constantly scream in this room. And if you have up to 100 chicks here and you need to feed them and they scream because they're simply hungry, you might get crazy if you have to do this during the night, every single day, every 2 hours, right? That's why these friends here over here are quite useful. Well, it's a simple room, it's sterile, it's clean, it's open, it's bright, you need that, right? And let's go over it to the next room. So here we are in the incubator room, and this room is quite new, and he made it very spacious for him, for here coffee table and to have meetings, right, with the future breeders. He supplies, also as you know, he does have a big pet store, and he's also a partner from us for distributing our products in Portugal. Nevertheless, behind you see a collection of his little brooders, right, the hatches machine. And here he simply turns the eggs, watch the different humidity, and it's very important to have different humidities, different types, and it's very important to have different types of humidity because not every species is bred in the same conditions. Black cockatoos, hyacinth macaws, Amazons and Pionides kikes and eclectos, they all need a different temperature and a different humidity. And over the years you might find the right recipe in order to breed parrots successfully in incubators. This is a typically weaning room. I hope you can hear me. Here we have also air condition and also air filters. And on these big cages, he for example weans, that means getting the parrots ready back away from hand feeding formulas towards solid food. And these cages are made for the big parrots. You see this already, hanging cages, easy to clean, right? Easy to clean over here. Everything can be flushed out with the pressure cleaner. And these are so-called weaning rooms. Also here, we are in a weaning room for smaller birds. And behind me, you can see suspended cages that you simply can remove, right? You can feed the birds here easily. And these cages are here for a reason. They don't have to look nice, right? And you think now, this is just simple cages. But that's what you actually need to wean parrots. Because they make a huge mess. Their dropping goes down. You need something to pressure clean, right? And these suspended cages are ideal to wean parrots, to bring them into a status where they can eat solid food. And this takes a while, right? They're becoming bigger, they want to test their wings. And these cages are ideal for this. They have space to see water, to see their seed or pellet mix always in front of their eyes and start to nibble on it, start to try the food out, and that's perfectly for that.